Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to Command Power, the show in which we discuss all things Magic the Gathering with a focus on Commander. And today we have a brand new deck tech for you, and today's deck tech is going to be centered around Spongebob Squarepants. For 1 white, 1 blue, 1 black, 1 red, and 1 green, it's a legendary creature, a human wizard, should be a sponge, 5/5. With legendary creatures you control, get +X/+X, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. Whenever you cast a legendary spell from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a legendary non-land card with lesser mana value. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So what's going on here? Why am I making a Spongebob deck? Well, Joda is not a commander that I'm particularly interested in, but as soon as Spongebob was spoiled, I knew he was the perfect commander for a project that I've been thinking about for a while, which is to make a deck with exclusively Universes Beyond cards. Now there's someone in my playgroup who despises Universes Beyond, or basically despises them when it's a franchise that he doesn't enjoy, so I thought I'd make this deck basically just to spite them a little bit. But I also do like Universes Beyond myself, and I do appreciate all the different art styles and the amazing mechanics that you can get in a weird deck like this. So I have committed really hard to the theme. That means that every card in the deck is a Universes Beyond card, including lands, which means the mana base is a little bit rough, but if you wanted to do something similar, you could consider swapping out the mana base for a normal lands. I've also included cards that have been reprinted, and sometimes they're not necessarily cards from a Universes Beyond. I might have used ones that have a Secret Lair art instead because I just like the art. And I've tried to include cards from as many different franchises as possible. The great thing about this deck is it's going to continue to grow as more cards are released. I've played it a couple of times so far and it's been incredibly fun to play because you get to do hilarious stuff like having the Ring Tempt Gigan, Cyberclaw Terra, and similarly ridiculous interactions. So without further ado, let's jump in. We're starting off with Aragorn the Uniter. This is actually incredibly powerful. I played the deck for the first time yesterday and this popped off a bunch of different times. The Scry in particular is really nice because Spongebob of course is going to essentially cascade when you play a card. Arbaz Mir was also really good and overperformed. It basically gains you a lot of life, which is something that the deck definitely needs since you are going to attract a lot of attention to yourself. Basim Ibn Ishaq is really powerful. It's popping off in a bunch of different formats and it's great here because we're playing so many historic spells. It's basically an unblockable creature that draws us a card every turn and grows itself. Ayak of Siwa can finish games really quickly. Giving all of our stuff double strike is incredibly powerful. Chief Jim Hopper is here as a Stranger Things Secret Lair, but you can substitute it for any other Stranger Things card. It doesn't particularly fit that well with the theme of the deck, but it's just a cool card. Chucky is amazing as it always is. Carter is an incredibly powerful effect, and having it in our deck is really useful in multiple different situations. We can even reanimate it since we are running a bit of a graveyard package. Cleopatra, Exiled Pharaoh, is a great way to draw some cards in the deck, and it also pumps our board, which is nice. Deadpool Trading Card is a card that I absolutely love. I love everything. The flavor text is on point. The ability is incredibly strong and annoying, and it does give us a nice little bit of removal in this deck. Delina Wild Mage works so nicely with stuff like Deadpool, particularly if you're really good at rolling d20s. Dalsim Pliable Pacifist is really solid. It's a Street Fighter card which we love, and then it also allows us to get a couple of draws here and there. It's basically like a less juiced Toski, which is still a good place to be. Aomer Marshal of Rohan is a great way to finish the game when we have a wide board. They can't really block our stuff and have stuff die because then we get an extra combat. It's just really strong. Gary the Snail is so powerful. It's a board wipe on a really chunky creature. It doesn't really make much sense to me that this is a tiny little snail, but it's really good. Gigan's Cyberclaw Terra is great in this deck, not only because it's a Godzilla card, but also because we are running a graveyard theme as mentioned, so being able to mill stuff and reanimate is really good. Glowing Dwarf Emissary ramps us once per turn, and since it's kind of hard to find ramp with the restrictions that the deck has, this is very good. Being able to goad stuff is a nice bonus as well. Javi the Allfather is going to be one of the all-stars in this deck. It's almost always going to have Indestructible in the mid to late game, and when our stuff starts dying and we get to reanimate stuff for free, it just becomes really good. Ian Convalescent Charmer was a card that was really hard for me to find. I had to buy it on a recent trip to Japan, but I just love the art on this. It's so goofy and over the top, and again, it does fit the graveyard theme of the deck. Inigo Avenging Swordsman is just a card that's been really overperforming so far. It's a really strong effect. Obviously, giving all of our stuff haste is very nice, and him having Vigilance is also really strong because we do need to have some defenses up. JB McCrimmon is a card that I love in any deck that is heavy on historic stuff. The fact that it has Trample is really relevant here since this deck can sometimes struggle to push through damage. This is going to get huge with our commander out, and then we can hopefully trample over for a ton of damage. Lara Croft Tomb Raider is here just because she's the only representative from the Lara Croft franchise. She doesn't particularly synergize with the deck, though we do have a couple of legendary artifacts that we can reanimate with her, but just getting a treasure every turn is already good enough, and First Strike and Reach is pretty solid. Layla Hassan is really strong. It has a great enter the battlefield ability, and later on if she connects we can also get more stuff back to our hand. We also have a couple extra assassins in the deck. Legolas Greenleaf is really good for the same reason that Jamie McCrimmon is. We're playing so many historic cards that this is going to grow very easily and hopefully draw us a few cards. Lothal Corrupt Sheriff comes down nice and early, and it can often create a ton of treasures for us. Do be careful playing it late game if you're low on life, because it can actually kill you. Merry Esquire of Rohan is yet another way for us to draw cards. It's very, very solid. We're very, very rarely going to have it equipped, but we don't really care about the First Strike. We just care about the card draw. Nira Wild Mage is just a meme one and a pretty fun card from the Dungeons and Dragons set. The fact that we're still going to get the stuff that we cascaded into with our commander means that this is pretty solid in the deck. Negan the Cold-Blooded is a card that I personally really, really love, and we obviously had to have something from The Walking Dead because they kickstarted the universe's Beyond trend. But aside from that, this is just really solid removal that also ramps us. Optimus Prime Hero is very much a meme card because this is one of the ones that people were joking about when Universes Beyond started getting out of hand. It's just a very solid card anyway, it puts counters on stuff and it's very hard to kill. Plankton Tiny Tyrant is a great way to protect our stuff, which is always very good. It's also the only 1-mana legendary we have, so we're guaranteed to cascade into it if we play a legendary that costs 2. Sandy Cheeks Martial Astronaut is great. The indestructible means that the turn she comes down, she can block very nicely, and then she's just going to provide us a very solid stream of cards, which is great. Sauron the Dark Lord is just a really powerful good stuff card. We're going to get a lot of different triggers that are all really good. The most important one is amassing every time an opponent casts a spell. Senu Keen-Eyed Protector is a card that I've been very impressed with because my friend has a deck that he's built around this, which I'm hoping to make a video on soon, and it's just really powerful. Particularly in this deck, we get to repeatedly scry and gain 2 life, but the really powerful thing is that this enters attacking after blockers are already declared, which means it's essentially unblockable when it comes in attacking from exile. Sean, Father of Synths, is just great in this deck. Getting token copies of legendaries is great when you have effects such as Negan or Deadpool, so this should be very good. Sister Hospitaller is very powerful in the deck because we get to reanimate something and we are stocking up our graveyard with a bunch of different cards, and of course gaining life is always nice. Squidward's Sarcastic Snob allows us to rebuy ETB effects of stuff when it gets blocked, and of course drawing more cards is always welcome. The Celestial Toymaker is a great way to draw cards in the deck. I just love this card so much. It doesn't really synergize that much, but it's really, really fun, and it's just amazing to have Neil Patrick Harris on a card. The 8th Doctor is really powerful in this deck. Milling is something we want to be doing, and then we get to cast stuff from our graveyard once per turn, which is great. The Master Transcendent is another really good one because again we want to be milling, and if we have a couple of radiation counters, which we should because we've got a couple of other ways of getting them, then we can start reanimating stuff, which is always good. The Wise Mothman is another really fun rad counter commander, and one that can grow itself fairly big as well with the milling we're doing, so that's very nice. For sorcerers, we have Escape Containment from the Ghostbusters set. The Demonstrate is really, really nice on this. We get to mill 10 cards and reanimate 2 things with it, which is very powerful. The Ring Go South is another really powerful effect in the deck. In the mid game, this can ramp us 3 or 4 lands, which is really good for 4 mana. For instance, Chaos Mutation provides a nice way to deal with opposing creatures, and we can transform one of our small things into hopefully something big. Court of Calling is great in a deck like this with multiple different effects. It can save you by searching up an answer or win you the game by searching up a finisher. Desynchronization is incredibly good in this deck. It's a mass bounce spell at instant speed that can deal with most of our opponent's boards. Reverse the Polarity is a card that I always talk about a lot and I think is very, very good. You do have to be a little bit careful in this deck because the first mode does say counter all other spells. That includes anything you cascade into with your commander, so you do want to make sure that you don't end up countering your own stuff. But other than that, giving all of our stuff unblockable is a great way to win the game when our creatures are this big. For artifacts, I wanted to highlight Confession Dial. This is really solid. It gives us a great way to dump more things into our graveyard, which we can then cast from graveyard by giving them escape. This is just really powerful in the deck. Mithril Coat is a great way to protect Spongebob if need be. It's also hilarious to see this attached to most creatures in this deck, including something like Ian Malcolm, for example. And moving on to enchantments, Ballad of the Black Flag is really, really good in the deck because the first 3 steps are going to give us repeated mill and card draw, which are both great, and then the final step allows us to have a really big turn by playing all the stuff that we've hopefully got into our hand. But honestly, the 4th chapter isn't even that important. The other 3 are just very good on their own. So there you have it. This has been my Spongebob Squarepants fully Universes Beyond deck tech. What do you think about this one? Does this trigger your Magic the Gathering sensibilities? Do you embrace our new Universes Beyond overlords and accept that this is the way that the game is going to be from now on? Please let me know in the comment section below. I always read all of your comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click like or subscribe. It really helps the channel. And until next time, take care.